All right, take your time with my time. It is 21:54. That is 6 minutes to 10. My time, GMT2, live from Ruell, Zimbabwe on the third eye. And I am your boy, your host, Indigo Saint. But you know what they say where I'm from. But Idiko, izinto, chovi, bougie banzoli para la semayatini, umapapula isidudla, iyelobone elimnyama, iPro Max 25. John Wick Ongafiyo Ilema Moyo. Danko, and welcome to the third eye. I know my hosts are looking at me right now and they're just going, what just happened? And yeah, you guys are in for some fun. Everyone who's listening in right now, and I just want you to know, we have incredible guests today, tonight, today, this morning. I don't know which time zone you're in, but we're here. We have Underdog Research, we have Focuz, and we have Black Rue himself on the Third Eye podcast for the very first time we're going live. But what they don't know is that because we are on the Third Eye, hosted by your boy Indigo Saint, they have to introduce themselves in a rhyme. It's just the way that it goes. So we're gonna start with Underdog, and he's gonna give us a little introduction. He's gonna introduce himself in a little rhyme. I know, Underdog. I know you've been wanting your moment for a minute. So this is it right now.
What's up, folks? Underdog Research Channel. Do you think you can take what you never gave me? I made myself. You never made me. What you ever gave me? It's the Underdog Research Channel. I'm the Underdog Researcher, and I'm here with the third eye and these great gentlemen to talk to you about this topic.
Diving here, man. Y'all know who it is. It's Shook Focus. No hocus pocus. We here to do the thing. We finna bring the focus.
Yes, sir.
What's up, guys? It's your man Ruell Black. Black Rue Investing. We never resting. We keeping it 100%, and we never divesting. That's it. That's all we got.
I love it.
Yeah.
I love it.
Yeah. That was dope. I think we have a mixtape. I think we have a mixtape coming soon. You know what I mean? It's the Crypto Boys. You know what I'm saying? So yeah, so y'all look out for that NFT. But yeah, you guys are amazing. Thank you for that. Just letting loose. You know what I'm saying? I think that's important from time to time. I do think it's important from time to time. There's so much work that goes into the research. There's so much work that goes into trying to take care of our families and trying to ensure financial freedoms, not just for ourselves but like for the people who are going to come in the future. So yeah, I thought that was really impressive. Let me know in the comments whenever you do get a chance to listen to this, whom you thought had the dopest lines there. But yeah, I'm biased, so I'm always gonna think I have the dopest lines. Um, but on to brings us together today. You know, we are all crypto enthusiasts, but more than just enthusiasts. We are researchers. You know, we are researchers, and the work that we do ultimately is not just for ourselves. It's for you, the audience. It's for you, the people who are listening, wherever you are. And there's a lot of interesting things that are happening, and you're lucky you have some of the best researchers on the internet right now. Some of the most qualified research based people, to talk about just like the happenings and everything that's going on. Um, if you are aware, there is a Bitcoin halving, I believe, Shooks, how that's gonna go, or what you think or how you feel about that.
Indeed. Man, the halving, it's definitely the most popular event in Bitcoin, right? That supply production is about to get cut. It's about to get cut in half. And the reason folks get so excited about it is because with these changes, with the halving, with the reduced supply, right, the expectation is typically that the price is going to go up if you follow supply and demand tactics. For me, I'm looking to see which projects are going to survive the halving. Typically, we don't see price action the day after the halving, right? Typically, we see that play out in the market over time. And so what I'm looking forward to with this happening is I'm looking forward to making my moves, right? As these different projects, they talk about us getting shaken out as the retail investors, right? But I'm looking to see which projects get shaken out. And so I'm super excited for the happening. The last one was in 2020, and we didn't really see price action or new price discovery on a lot of these projects until almost 12 months after, right? So now this is going to be a very interesting event. I think this is the time where you need to be sticking to your guns. I'm definitely gonna be bringing some content throughout the happening, and I'm happy to be here with these people today, because these are definitely gentlemen I listen to. And most of the time when I'm, if I'm out working, I'm listening to Indigo Saint. And if I'm in my lab like we are today, then I got Black Rue and the Underdog Research going. So this happening event is going to be very important, and I'm happy to have been able to do some research prior to it with everybody that you see here.
Yeah, thank you for that, Shooks. I mean, the understanding of the understanding of what happens when you cut supply, when you have less of something, and just understanding those economics as to when you have less of an asset, its price typically goes up. The the perspective that I can give from my background as a Zimbabwean is a time in which we had large shortages across very basic items, and what that did is it created inflation, and it created prices for things to become extremely high. But then again, that's a story for another time. But I'm really looking forward to seeing more content on, especially like during that time, and also just like understanding that to not buy into the hype, and to not buy the FUD, and for those who don't know what the FUD is, that's I don't know, maybe perhaps Underdog, you can tell us what the FUD is.
Yes, today FUD is a noun and an adjective. So FUD is an acronym that means fear, uncertainty, and doubt. However, it has changed where people use FUD as that you're talking negative about the project. But in fact, what I found is the FUD is the most essential part. You need to know the strengths and weaknesses. There's nothing perfect. So FUD is considered a negative aspect of a project, but in reality, could be the most valuable piece that you can get.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, and again, just like those understandings, just understanding the meanings, understanding the vocabulary that happens during this time. I know a lot of people. It happened with me where the first time, well, really was, I guess, the first time I was really invested in crypto came at a time after the halving, as Shix had said. This was like post 2020, and a lot of these terms get thrown around, and if you don't know, you might invest into something that you're not particularly meant to. Again, this is not financial advice or anything, but then I think it is important to understand the terminology that's going to be flying around, because I do know a lot of people are new to this space. It always happens that when price is going to the quote unquote to the moon, that's when everyone wants to get into the project. But yeah, I think it is important to put in a little due diligence before you invest anything. And my own perspective with it is that never invest more than what you're willing to lose. And that's going to be, you're going to see this as a recurring theme as we continue with the podcast. Again, just drawing from my own personal experiences and just how I go about investing. Probably one of like the places where I get like some of my best investment advice is from Black Rue. Uh, investing is in the name, Black Rue Investing. And one of the things that I find that we share as similarities or as commonalities is just our love for mathematics. And I know you're thinking, you're a hip hop artist, bro. What do you know about math? And the thing is, I have to calculate every move. I have to calculate my bars. I have to calculate the 16s. You know what I mean? But yeah, but I've been watching a lot of Black Rue's content. I mean, as far back as 2021, and recently on one of his videos, he spoke about a term that I love so much. It's called immutability. you know and yeah, and Black Rue, if you don't mind just getting into like the definition of that, and maybe we can talk about the application, especially as to in regards to which project you were specifically talking about.
Sure. So the term immutability means basically unchanging, and um, this is actually no matter who you pray to, this is an attribute that God says He has, that He's unchanging, right? So it's interesting that Bitcoin is immutable, right? So it's unchanging. Um, Despite whatever Jamie Dimon tells you, no one can go in and change the code and just make more Bitcoins. It's unchanging, it's immutable. Okay. And I noticed with a lot of the names of these cryptocurrencies, if you look at something called Gematria, that they're immutable. You need to kind of know what these ciphers are, but this is gematria, the practice of basically turning names into or words into numbers. And you can see this in practice. I know a lot of people think this is pseudoscience, but you see this in practice with coding, in which coding, you take words and you use the compiler and you turn it into binary code, zeros and ones. And it's funny because um, uh, Indigo Saints, a lot of people don't think about music having anything to do with numbers, but when you look at octave and all the things that go into music and how octaves are just mathematically set up, it has everything to do with numbers. Here we have Bitcoin, and in these 4 different gematria cycles, it all adds up to 9. And that number 9, if you guys know your multiplication tables, like say 9 times 3 is 27, which so anything you kind of multiply by 9 is going to add up to 9. So there's a whole nother thing in that, but here just what I noticed about, you see that all of these are 9. So 72, 7 plus 2 is 9, 3 plus 6 is 9, 2 ones and a 7 add up to 9, 4 or 5 adds up to 9. And you don't, I could put so many different names and words in here and you wouldn't get that. These add up to 9, but here you see that with Bitcoin, right?
You are killing me. If we find out that SWFTCoin,
We know their logo, right? Their logo is that little water symbol, like this, like a peacock or maybe a phoenix with the water symbol in it, right? And money is also, you can think of it kind of as water, because a lot of things that we use for money, like liquidity, right? Water is fiscal year, like a fish, water, right? But here we have Swift, right? So remember these numbers. So 68, 14, and then the reverse one here is 40 and 22. So what you'll notice is on both sides, on this side, you got stuff that adds to 5. So 1, 4 is 5, and then 6 and 8 is 14, which again is 5. So here we got 4, and 2 plus 2 is 4. So water, if we look at water, same thing here. 2 2s is 4, 6, 7 is 13, which is 4. And then we have the 5 here. So if we go down here, it'll be more clear. You can see 4 is on this side, 4 is on this side, 5 is on this side, 5 is on this side. So they could have chose any name, right? They chose a name that really lines up with water.
Symbology and numerology is one of the ways that you can look at it. Also, is just if you look at your birthday, right? Your birth date. So I'm born on the 22nd of April, the year in 1992. When I add it up, it adds up to 11. And people who have a 11 as their numerology number, as their spirit number, their angel number, act in a certain way, you know. And I never understood that. Like when I was growing up, I always felt like, oh, you know, I always feel like I have this responsibility to people. I have to take care of people, etc. And I never understood why that was always there. It's a part of like my calling, you know. It's just destiny, I guess, in a way, you know. And I think finding those commonalities, finding those symbols, especially when it comes to money, because again, these are things that are, you can choose to ignore them, but they're not going anywhere. We do say flow. We refer to where we keep our money as banks. You know, we even talk about money streams. I mean, currently we are on a stream. It's on a podcast, absolutely, but it is a stream. So if you're listening to this, just know that you are in a circle in which there's not only a stream of information that's coming and some of the wisdom that's coming from these gentlemen. You just might find that there might be some streams of income that come into your pockets. I'm not promising, I'm not guaranteeing. Numerology number is 11. Must be onto something.
11 is also immutable. And here we go. We have the word 11 here, 63279927.
I have a question. I'm gonna bring a different side because somebody's tuning in and they're completely scientific and they're like, I don't care what the number is. You haven't told me what that has to do with Swift, why I should look at it. I don't care about water. So I'm outnumbered, guy. I got 3 people who into a spirit. I only know about the research. So I want to know, make it make sense to me, because I'm just tuning in for the first time and all I hear is 7, 9, 11, and I hear a whole bunch of tech guys talking. Tell me why that has anything to do with Swift. Talk to me, folks.
Well, for me, that makes me think that Swift is going to control or be a large part of money flow, right? So money is going to flow through Swift and be sent many different directions. If you caught the earlier parts, definitely go over to Underdog Crypto's channel or Underdog Research channel for the first part. Black Ruell Investing, my channel, for the second part, and then Focuz's channel for the other part. You'll know that we talked about how the money flow is very important for like people like Tim Draper and all these different billionaires through the Swift blockchain. So it's kind of setting up that this will be a very important place for money flow.
Yeah, I mean, let's even like try to use a different, just a very basic thing and put it in the light of the space that puts this project into. What is another huge project, right, that talks about water and flow, right? We got Ripple, right? Yep. Yeah, XRP, and we got Ripple. So even if the water piece maybe doesn't make sense, you can find some commonalities that SWFTCoin may have with some of these other projects in the space, and it's just a slightly easier way to break it down.
Yeah, I like how we've managed to tie in the technological bits, right? Because I mean, the tech in itself is very powerful. The problems that they're solving are real, you know, and they're gonna make, you know, they're gonna make a significant a number of people. I would like to assume a significant amount of wealth as well, you know, just based off the things that they're tackling and the things that they are trying to fix. And if you go and you watch after you're done listening to this, after you're done watching this, if you go and you listen and watch the video we just did on Shook's channel, and just talking about symbolism and about cultural references and why a marketing team would invest money into symbols, right? For a specific region or for a specific nation, and just understanding those symbolisms. I guess from my perspective, I'm always gonna look for the esoteric. I guess I am I am very worldly, but I'm spirit having a human experience. You know, just gonna be a conversation for another day. You know, but folks, if you're still here, which I know you're still here because this conversation has been that interesting, um, there is something that is just as important as the symbolism, as the um, esoteric bits, as the technology, right? And this is something that actually is what has brought us here together. And I mean here, I mean like myself and these three gentlemen, and that's the research aspect. And I think just in a way to just like really bring it all together, I think we just have to have a conversation about the importance of research, and I think Underdog has a brilliant way of saying it, and I don't want to steal his thunder, you know what I mean? Because you steal Thor's thunder, you're gonna feel the hammer, so Underdog, if you don't mind sharing a little more with us about about that research aspect, my brother.
So this is a perfect example, folks, and it's so awesome. This is what I like to see, and I'm glad that you are interested in as well. You have 4 different perspectives right now. Now, just playing devil's advocate, I don't look at things such as numbers and all these pieces like that. But what Indigo just said, what the third eye just said, now it makes analytical sense for me, because I started off talking about symbolism. Focuz talked about Japan and symbolism. So I have to now calculate that other investors may take those same areas of symbolism as a reason for them to invest. So you see what happened there? I just showed you my bias. So I have a bias against that particular piece, but then as Indigo connected those, now it makes sense. If I don't change my bias, then I could miss out on a one piece that someone else finds important. So why is that important? We look at meme coins. Now, a lot of people think that this Swift coin, just in case you're just tuning in, this is a Swift coin conversation. They thought that Swift coin was a meme coin. And let me tell you why. Because typically the educational level of their intro into the crypto space, they can't differentiate between a meme coin and any other token. That's all they knew. It's not like they've been in the market a long time. So everything's a meme coin. And it's only 2 things: binary, win moon, win Lambo. So the research aspect for me is key. So hearing Black Rue, Shook Focuz, and Indigo Saint with the third eye, what I would do with this, how you would use this if you're coming here right now, like, well, how I use this for Swift. I've been listening to you for 20 something minutes. I don't know what to do. You're not giving me what to do. You're telling me information. So this is what I would do. I would look at first the project and say, how can I find out about the market cap of this project? I see a project and I don't know anything about it. And I say, okay, first I need to know what industry that project's in. That's my first thing I do. I start off with the industry. Each project has to resolve a problem. That's one space. Or it's a community-based problem. And that means like meme coins. I'm not going to talk about meme coins because there is another calculus. There's another algorithm I use for meme coin calculation. And yes, I do get in meme coins. I just don't discuss them because they're very high risk. And I don't want to put anybody in a position where you take a high risk move, you lose everything, which is very likely. And then you say Underdog Researcher was shilling a coin. So I don't normally tell people about my high risk moves, but this is what I'm saying. You take this coin, Swift coin. I started off with this token is a multi-cross-border platform. So I know it connects to multiple blockchains. That's all I need to know. Now, part 2 is I look at how much it costs me to get it. My thing is I buy tokens that my grandmother could get or the people where I'm from can get, because I came from a place where we don't have a lot of income. I don't have a lot of family backing. So I will never get into a project by default that it would cost $1 to get, because I don't come from a place where people have extra dollars. It's hand to mouth, hand to mouth. So that's my 2. That is my own personal restriction. Now, number 3 is starting to go into the foundations of the project. I'll read the project, I'll look at SWFTCoin, and the first thing I did was, okay, this is what they do, who's in the project, how long have they been sustaining, and have they been able to last through a Bitcoin bear market? Typically, if a token can get through a couple bear markets, even if it has no play, then I'll look at it. Now, this is what's interesting that adds into research. With this token, SWFTCoin, it has not had a bull market yet. What the calculus was for me was everyone was saying that it came from 9 cents. That is not true. It had venture capital investment. We learned that with John Shin. We learned that the money came before. It never was on a market. So you can't say something had a downtrend. Even I made a mistake. I said SWFTCoin had a downtrend for 6 years. That's not true. You fill up a bottle and it's full of water, and then you put the water bottle into the market and it has to compete with other water bottles, then the market makes the price. So far, SWFTCoin has never had a bull run. So what makes today different? When I researched it, I saw a token that went from 9 cents because it already had this money infused before it was launched. It dropped once it hit the market. Then by 2021, bear crash. Well, there's a crash. It's a bear market for 2 years. We all know that. It never had a chance to have full fruition. It was new, market crashed, and now we have the first opportunity this cycle for this little potential. But what did it do in the meantime? That's part of research. This is what it did. Instead of spending its money on hype, it had to survive. Let me tell you why, as a fighter, why that's a part of research. It had to fight. It had to say, trademark patent choice. Either I go ahead and make this trademark patent, spend over $100,000 to keep both, go to a legal battle because someone else already has a token, or I'm a military guy, or I cut off the arm and save the body. If they had chosen to keep those trademarks and patents, we wouldn't be having this conversation because the company would be dead. They would not have been able to financially sustain the company because we saw that they made $130,000 as Gcoin for the last 5 years. And the cost would have been more than the company. No company in its right mind would make a financial decision to spend more on marketing to make your company go out of business. It would have been a bad business decision. So number 2, and lastly, with that being said, lastly with the research is to take in those parts of what else matters. So now we're going into what Black Ruell was saying and Shook Focuz and Indigo saying. And what did they say? Black Ruell started off, as I was researching the foundation of the token, he was already moving to the connections. His research brought us to Draper Dragon. Black Ruell started his initiation of the saying, hey, wait a minute. I don't care if you have $1 to your name. Why would a billionaire waste his money? Think about it, folks, that makes 0 sense. Why would a billionaire take venture capital, I mean, they take their own money, that's out of their personal bank accounts, invest in the company to lose it? They invest money to make money. 100%, they want to profit off this project. It makes 0 sense. Otherwise, they'll give it to charity. So Draper Dragon said, wait a minute, I'm buying low. So Black Ruell's research showed us that he created connections, and he showed you Draper University. He shows you the connections. And while we was quiet, SWFTCoin was making deals. We didn't even know about MetaPath. They was making deals and moving silently because that's how you do business deals. Why would they tell the world what they're doing so they can have competitors? No, they move before the competitors. Now they're in 800 blockchains, 800 cryptocurrencies, 50 blockchains, and in Coinbase, they're in America, and they're in other countries like China, India, all these other different places under different names, same pot of money. So he's going to protect his investment. Then Shook got on the scene, and Shook, he's really interesting in his research. I was using Shook's research. While I was looking at China, Shook's like, that's cool. I saw you said something about Mizo Bank, so I'm going to Japan. So he went on all the way to the other side. And Shook said, wait a minute, y'all. Let me pull up Mizo Bank. There are three things you could take through that, actually four. Shook talked about the symbolism we saw with Japan. He's talking about just like the red packets. He says, wait a minute, this is their symbolism. And then he showed the Mizo Bank and Ella Wallet and Token Pocket. He mentioned both. Folks, those are companies in Japan. That means those hard wallets, some of them are traded on the stock market. These are companies. So if you look at the connection, even on MetaPath and SWFTCoin as an investment for the research, they have a place to off-ramp your money, whether it goes into your bank account or take it off the market. They're already creating all these hard wallets. No one's researched today, other than Shook Focuz Digital, no one's researched the fact that who is in the market of hard wallets. Well, that's who is in the market. So last but not least, we brought my research to Indigo Saint, the third eye. We're still talking about Swift, folks. This is different aspects. And in that research over hype, third eye said, wait a minute, there's a personal impact. He gave his account of being in Zimbabwe and how currency inflated so much that he could walk around with $1 million, but the value was not very well. He also gave in his videos on his first and second episode, the third eye, if you paid attention, that Zimbabwe has multiple ways of connecting with money, but it's very hard for you to get money. Does that make sense? They have multiple ways to get money out the country. They won't accept other people's currencies. So that gives the government more control. That's another conversation. So what's that have to do with Swift? If you research this project, you find out very quickly it's not a meme coin because you have billionaires invested. Black Roo told you that. I gave you the billionaire plan. I gave you 8 billionaires other than what Black Roo already told you. And Black Roo gave you several other billionaires other than I say. So we already have a project that has 1 degree of separation and multiple billionaires in different industries. Then we got Shook Focuz Digital. He brought you to, hey, the mirror, Japan, China, and Singapore. He brought you to those places, and sure enough, we found interlapping intersections, one project, and finally, Indigo Saint shows the impact. That's more important, and my personal is, if I put my $2 that I have, my last $2 in one token, if I only have $2, which one can I get the most money? Well, if I put $2 in Bitcoin and it goes up to $100,000, I'll make $2.50 maybe. But if I put $2 in this one, then I will have actually about 400 Swift coins because it's a half a penny. And therefore, I will take those $2 and I can make it into 40. That's the impact. So that's what I said with research over hype. We're not shilling, folks. We're not saying what's good or bad. We're giving you different layers. And if you listen, now you can connect them. That's all I have.
Underdog, I appreciate that so much. And I'm sure, you know, I speak on behalf of all my viewers, all my listeners, and everyone else who's in the chat right now, who's listening to the podcast right now, that it's what you touched on and what you spoke on is so important. Just like understanding that there are going to be different perspectives, there are going to be different views, and there also are different cultural backgrounds that everyone brings into a project, into a specific project. When you do have the time, you have to make sure that you do your own due diligence and that you do your research. You have to think, okay, why does this interest Black Roo? And see if you can learn something from it. Why does this interest Shook Focuz and learn something from it? Why does this interest Underdog Research and learn something from that? And then also come up with your own narrative, because at the end of the day, it is your own bank. And by that, I mean it is your own money that you're investing. And no one here is giving you financial advice. I must reiterate that this is purely for entertainment purposes, but that doesn't mean that the research isn't real. You know, so with that full understanding, just you have to have that perspective and be grown enough to know that whatever it is that happens, it might not necessarily be your fault, but it 100% is your responsibility, just as much as the money is yours, you know. So I know we've been going at this for quite a minute now, and I'm sure you've got a lot of value from this if you're listening to it for the first time. This is the first time to the podcast, the first time you listening, watching the podcast in itself. Make sure you do subscribe, just so that in that way you don't miss any more videos that are going to come out in the future. We're always going to be in the future, I'm sure we're going to be doing a lot of this cross platform research, you know what I'm saying? And I feel like that's suited because we're talking about SWFTCoin, and that's a cross-chain platform in itself, so 100%. Thank you so much for your time. Make sure you have a comment, let me know what it is that you enjoyed the most, what you'd like to hear more of, and we'll be sure to do this again and again and again and again and again. And if you have that question, when Moon, when Lambo, all I'm gonna say is when research, when due diligence.
Bring us that back.
You are my everyday hero, and I'm gonna give you the manifesto. So this is coming from the second chapter of Robin Sharma's The Everyday Hero Manifesto. And he says, those committed to the fullest expression of their native genius know that self-faith and staying true to yourself and your mighty mission, especially in the face of ridicule and uncertainty, attack and adversity, is the gateway into legendary and truly a pathway to immortality, because your noble example will live on long after you're gone. What you're doing right now is being a legend and ensuring and securing financial freedoms, not only for yourself, but for your family and their family thereafter. So again, from me, thank you so much for being here. I want to say again, thank you to Black Ruell Investing for your time. Thank you to Underdog Research for your time. Thank you to Focuz for your time, not only for your time, but for your insights, your knowledge, your information, your research. And this has been absolutely amazing. And this is what the third eye is about. It's about internet, it's about industry, and it's about insights. So from your boy, Indigo Saint, you know what they say where I'm from? But Indigo, yizinto, chobicho, buji panzo liphana lasemanyatheni maphapula isitudla, yellow bone elimnyama, Pro Max 25 John Miko Ngafio ilema likaMamoyo. And this has been The Third Eye.
Bathi njani dali mina nkinga lana imali ayihlali so I hurt my feelings ngisakhalila nakhala imali dali umdali ngisenza imali abadala bathi nginenkani bathi njani dali mina nkinga lana imali ayihlali so I hurt my feelings ngisakhalila nakhala imali